Welcome to Nonprofit Nation, the series that highlights the meaningful work nonprofits are doing to strengthen our community. In each episode, we speak with leaders, volunteers, and advocates addressing real-world changes and creating impactful solutions. Join us as we explore their stories, the obstacles they face, and the measurable change they bring to people and causes they serve.
All right, and welcome to the debut of Nonprofit Nation. I am your host, Amanda Pierce, and I am so excited to welcome our first guests, Family Promise of Forsyth. So here with us today, we have the Executive Director, Tina Huck, and also the Board Chair, Mike Cartwright. For those unfamiliar with Family Promise, kind of give us an idea of what you all do here in the Forsyth County area and also your mission.
Family Promise here in Forsyth County, and there are family promises throughout the nation as well to know, but we serve families who are experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. So every family that we serve has at least one child under the age of 18, and our goal for those families is to get immediate stability for them, make sure those kids are good, they have all their needs taken care of, but then our ultimate goal is to really create sustainable independence. We want those children to have long-term stability and really be able to prosper in their lives. Nationally, it's a little over 30 years ago, Family Promise started, and it was one of those stories of what one woman can do. So one person who lived in New Jersey, worked kind of in the city, saw a lot of homelessness, was doing kind of the things we sometimes think about. Let's hand out some food, let's do that. And one day she said, I want to take this one woman. I asked her to come to coffee. And so they went and sat down, and what they realized is they didn't have a whole lot of differences between them. There was a whole lot of commonality. They were both women. They're both strong women. One's life just went a different way than the other. And so at that point, this one woman, her name's Karen Olson, decided she had to do more. And so she came up with the initial concept of what Family Promise was and how Family Promise looks here in Forsyth County, similar with a rotational model, which incorporates area congregations, lots of volunteers and such. Now, over the time and over the years, it's grown, and there's lots of other things because we know there's lots of things that people need besides just that residential piece in it. So here in Forsyth County, about 10 years ago, it was 10 years this spring, one of the school social workers recognized that we had a lot of housing insecurity, a lot of homelessness here, and was looking for how does she make a difference for these families? And she found that national organization. And they really coached her, as well as some other amazing citizens, through how to make Family Promise come to life here in Forsyth County. So in October of 2016, we opened our doors, and that was with our residential rotational model that we have with the churches. But now, as we move forward, we don't just have that. We have what we call community-based services. We're in the process right now of opening a new building with an amazing day center and offices to fulfill all of those needs.
Such a wonderful story, and you guys are almost 10 years old here in Forsyth County. Congratulations. Yeah. Talking about the rotational program and talking about housing insecurity, Tina, you once gave a really good definition of what housing insecurity is, and not everybody understands what the term homelessness means.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So, housing insecurity is changing. I'll be honest with you. That terminology is hitting a lot of people right now just because of the economy. People are starting to be like, oh gosh, I can't afford this and this and this if they were just making it. But homelessness in general, a lot of people have a picture in their minds of what that is. We serve under what's called the McKinney-Vento Act definition of homelessness, however. It was back in the Reagan era, old-time definition of it. And what that takes into account is how does housing and the housing instability and homelessness affect children. And so how do we define that? So there is the stereotypical, right? Somebody's living in their car, somebody's living on a park bench, whatever. But we also look at what we call the hidden homelessness. So in Forsyth County schools, last year there were almost 1,100 students identified as homeless. A little over 80% of them were in what we call a doubled up situation. And so imagine if suddenly my family became homeless today and you as my friend said, oh, Tina, I want you to come stay with me. That sounds great. But you know what? I got a really loud, energetic 10-year-old that our stay may not be very long with you. And so the problem with that is, how long is that child going to be stable in that place is really what it comes into play. But for the children, it's an even bigger thing. So we've had children literally tell us, when we've been living with other people, the question is, whose rules do I follow? Do I follow my mom's? Do I follow theirs? What if I make them mad and we get kicked out? What if my mom makes them mad and we get kicked out? What do I tell the people at school when they say, hey, can we come to your house today? Or, hey, how did you decorate your room? But imagine we had one little girl, she was 12 years old, had never had a room of her own. She loved art. All she wanted to do was have a place she could hang her art. So that's a lot of the homelessness we're talking about, is making sure that these children who literally are living with a whole other level of anxiety than what we hear all our kids are living with today, living with that basis before they even, get to the other, how are my grades, how's my schoolwork, all of those other things.
It's not something that a child should be having to worry about, is the security of where they're going to sleep or their next meal, for that matter. Correct. Tina, you've been the executive director for how long?
For about 7.5 years.
Oh, and I know that you do such a wonderful job of sharing the great work that you guys are doing, and also that you pour personally into all of the clients within Family Promise. Mike, give us an update. You guys are doing some exciting things as far as moving and shaking. What's going on in the world of the building?
We've just recently purchased a new building, and that sounds interesting, but the reality is, when Tina talks about 8 or 9 or 10 years ago, we were sharing an office, a space at the place. We then moved into a small facility on Hutchison Road, which allowed us a little bit of office space and a fairly small day center. Again, the day center is, with the rotational program, the families stay in the churches overnight, but the churches have things to do, so the families aren't able to be there during the day, so they stay in our day center. Our day center today can have up to 14 people. Just think of a Saturday afternoon when folks aren't working and kids are out of school, and it's the size of a fairly large garage, but it's not very large. It also has one bathroom. It has one washer and dryer. So if you're one of 4 families fighting to get into a washing machine or a bathroom to take a shower, or you have a kid who just needs a little time away from the crowd, there's not a room to do that. So enter what we're doing now. So we're moving into a building where we will more than double our day center space. Like I said, today there's about, I'm going to say 1,400 square feet. There's close to 3,000 square feet in the new space. The ability to spread out and create some time for yourself and for your kids is going to be fantastic. Then we're going to triple the amount of washers and dryers. We're going to go from 1 to 3. We're going to have 3 bathrooms. We're going to have 2 showers. So even though we're moving into this space, it was really built from the perspective of how do we affect families from the moment they walk in. So that's the day center. Much bigger space, much more opportunity to spread out and really relax and be able to just take a breath. Then you move into the office, and that's actually built also with the families in mind. You walk into the office, the first thing you see is a small playroom for kids. Why is that in the office? Well, 2 of the rooms have windows into it, so the parents can have meetings with their sustainability coaches, if they have to do an interview online, they can do that in there, and still keep an eye on their kids. Move further in it, and sure, we have offices, and the offices are going to look great, but we also have a very large training room that can be used not just for us, but with our families, but with other folks in the community that need to use that. And finally, we have a little room we're calling the Zen room, which is an opportunity for when a mom or dad meets their goals for the week and they need 15 minutes of their own downtime. They'll go in there. It'll be a nice, relaxing. There'll be a massage chair and just the ability to just take some time off. Again, the whole pathway is to how do we help the families move through their progression. They have to do the hard work. What can we do to help them get there?
So you guys are in the process of building that out, or just getting it organized and setting it up?
I've spent the better part of 2 days using little Allen wrenches to put furniture together. So yes.
Oh, Allen and that wrench. So where's the location?
Yeah, so it's right over on Samaritan Drive in downtown Cumming, and the build out is, I'm going to say, is complete. However, the other thing that was important to us was to have room for growth, because we do know there's other services and other things that need to happen. And so the whole building is a 12,000 square foot building. We've just finished 6,000 square foot of it right now. But we know that as we grow and as we meet some of the other needs in the community, we'll be able to continue growing into that space.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I know you guys have been doing a lot of hard work, and it's paying off with the space. For those who are looking to get involved or they want to participate or contribute, what are you guys looking for? What do you need, and how can they reach you?
So we can use volunteers all the time. We have events that are in the community. We have things that we need in the office. So you can volunteer from an office perspective. You can volunteer from an event perspective. You can go to fpforsyth.org, and that's our website where you can see volunteer opportunities. We do a volunteer training every month. In the churches, they have a lot of folks that already do some volunteering to take care of the families when they're there at night. Sometimes we need some fill-in folks there, so there's some volunteer opportunities there as well. With the new building, we're 2 weeks into it, so we'll see what other volunteer needs we have. For one, we're probably going to need someone to cut a little bit of grass every now and then. So there'll be a number of opportunities that we're not even thinking of yet.
And then some of our other needs, I'd be remiss to say, funds are always good, right? That's always an important thing, especially with the new building. But I know a lot of people, especially this time of year, are like, what do your families need? What can we give? What can we do? And really, for our folks, we like to tell people, think about the things that you use on a daily basis that is not groceries. Because, right, most people have food stamps and things. Exactly. It could be toiletries. It could toilet paper. We all need it. I have literally watched moms cry, tears, given a basket of cleaning products. Wow. You can't buy that with food stamps, but you want your house to be okay for your children to be in. So when we think of things like wipes for the counters or toilet bowl cleaner, laundry detergent, fabric softener, those kind of things are really a lot of what it is. The other thing that's really a big need for our families is gas cards. And so just to get to us sometimes, but if they're trying to get to and from work, right, it's a big expense. And so as far as for the families' needs themselves, those are probably the biggest ones we have.
Talk just a little bit about the programs and the training. You mentioned sustainability, Mike. So there is accountability and there is a process, and you mentioned the pathway to progression. So maybe give a brief synopsis of what that is for people listening that don't know.
Okay, sure. So again, for folks experiencing homelessness, we're here to help, but we're not here to solve everything. These folks have a very, I always describe Tina as having a huge heart, but also a hammer when necessary, where she can hold somebody accountable. And not just Tina, but her team as well. So the organization is made up of Tina as executive director. We have a sustainability coach, an operations manager, and an executive assistant in the office. So the sustainability coach and the operations manager, they work with the families directly to make sure they are setting goals weekly. And some of those goals may be broad. Put $200 away into savings. Some of them may be very small. Apply for 3 jobs this week. So all of those things get people moving towards progression. Our goal is to get you in a place where at the end of your time with us, and it's an undefined amount of time. It could be a few months if you're not too far away from being independent, or it could be more months than that. We don't hold to a specific time frame. We kind of hold to a goal, which is get you to a point where you can move out on your own. Part of that is saving money. So we expect folks to have a job. We expect folks to put money away in an account that we kind of hold for them just to make it easy. And then by the time they leave, the idea is for them to have, first month's rent, last month's rent, some additional money for surprises that come up. So that's kind of the process, and Tina may be able to talk to more detail.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to know is it's all about being goal-oriented. And some of that stuff, like I know some of the goals Mike mentioned sound simplistic, right? Like, well, gosh, why couldn't they just do that on their own? You got to think, if you're living in crisis, think about your very worst day and something's really going on, whatever. It's really hard to stop and say, oh, this is the little step I need to take. And so those goals really are the little steps that get you on the journey towards sustainability. And so we go through every client that we work with, every family that we work with, whether in our residential program or community-based program, gets 5 goals each week. So we start with financial empowerment because, again, like Mike was talking about, you got to have that money to get forward, right? You got to have that job, and then you got to get into a place. But we're looking holistically at the family and at the person for that long-term stability. So we go into parenting goals, we go into self-health and well-being, and finally into what we call that sustainable independence. So what's the long term? Right now, today, you might need to come in and get a survival job. you may not like that survival job a whole lot. It might be, working fast food or something. So where your sustainable independence goal might be, okay, so what do you need to do to get to the next step? Where's that next piece? We always leave that fifth goal kind of open-ended because everybody's journey is different. And so it may be that they need another financial empowerment goal. Maybe they need another self-help, whatever it is. But we want them to always be tailored to that family's needs, for sure.
I like that. Tailored to the individual, because not everybody is the same.
Exactly.
All right. Mike and Tina, I'll give you the last word of the floor.
Go ahead, Tina.
I just want to touch on what you just said about not everybody's the same. And one thing that makes Family Promise of Forsyth County so different from any other programs that serve anybody experiencing homelessness, we really are about the family. So traditional homeless shelters do not generally keep families together. There's a space for women and children, there's a space for men, and oftentimes they consider boys of age 12 to 14 to be men. For us, we don't care what your family looks like. We get a lot of single moms, we get sometimes single dads, sometimes two-parent families, sometimes multi-generational. What we're looking at is who is a part of that child's life that's going to help that child have the stable life. So, if you've got mom and then her mom is the one who's helping with childcare or something, okay, they can be together. Similarly, if you have a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old and then a 20-year-old, should my 20-year-old have to be out on the streets? Because no. So that whole family stays together. Family is extremely important for us and just across the board. And that's what, along with all the goals and everything else, we're really big on letting our families know that they're loved, both by staff, but all these volunteers are caring about them because oftentimes they feel very alone.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up with thanking you for having us on the radio today, Amanda. I appreciate it very much. We are embarking on a new journey that we're figuring out, and we look forward to where we're going. We think we're going to do great things for the families that we serve, and 2025 is going to be a big year for us. And if you do have any questions for Tina or I, fpforsyth.org, you can get a hold of us there, and we'll be happy to chat.
Tina and Mike, thank you for joining us. Again, that website is fpforsyth.org.
Special thanks to our partners at Commercial Capital Limited for supporting the Nonprofit Nation podcast series. Commercial Capital Limited is your one-stop shop for commercial financing needs. Visit commercialcapitalltd.com to learn more about the types of programs and loans that they fund, types of properties they finance, and the documents needed to underwrite and process a loan in under 48 hours. Contact the experts at 770-908-1672 or email the team info@commercialcapitalltd.com.